The ship nobody wanted. Rebuilt by a human into the galaxy's ultimate titan, the junkyard hung in the silent void like a graveyard for dead dreams. Rusted hulls, broken satellites, and shattered engines floated in lazy orbits around the dead planet Gravix. 9. Every piece of metal here had a story, but no one cared enough to hear it. The galaxy's great fleets had abandoned this place decades ago, leaving it to scavengers and the few daring humans who risked the silence. Jax Rendar stood on the edge of a twisted platform, his boots clanging against the steel. He shaded his eyes from the faint glow of Gravix, Nine's dying sun. His gaze fell on a hulking shadow among the wrecks. The ship was enormous, far larger than anything a human would dare to touch. Its hull was battered and blackened, riddled with scorch marks from battles long past. Parts of its structure were bent at impossible angles. The legend said it had been a warship, one that once belonged to the Alari Dominion, the most feared empire in the galaxy. Now, it drifted like a corpse, forgotten by everyone. Every scavenger who saw it had passed it by. Every alien salvage crew had ignored it. Everyone called it a cursed ship, but not Jax. He stepped closer, his fingers brushing over the cold metal. "Worthless," he muttered. "Maybe to them." He ran his hand along a jagged scar on the hull, and a shiver ran down his spine. The metal hummed faintly, almost like it recognized his touch. Jax had spent his life being underestimated. Born on a human colony on the fringe of known space, he had learned early that the galaxy didn't care about humans. Aliens laughed at their technology, mocked their ships, and treated their ingenuity like a child's game. But humans had something the galaxy didn't expect: imagination and stubbornness. He climbed into the narrow access hatch, ducking past twisted beams and sparking circuits. Inside, the ship smelled of ozone and rust. Control panels were smashed, and wires dangled like broken veins. Jax's pulse quickened. This was dangerous work. One wrong step and he could electrocute himself, or worse, trigger a dormant defense system. But danger was part of the thrill. "Looks like you're mine now," he said softly, almost like a prayer. Hours turned into days as Jax explored the ship's interior. The corridors were dark, illuminated only by his portable lantern. He found the bridge crushed under a collapsed beam, weapons bays flooded with debris, and engines cold and silent. Most would have given up, but Jax's mind raced with ideas. Every broken console was a puzzle, every scorched panel a challenge. He could see the potential hiding beneath the ruin. The scavengers in the junkyard didn't believe it. They whispered behind his back, calling him crazy. "No human can fix that," one of them said. Even the aliens wouldn't touch it. Jax ignored them. He had no crew, no help, and no allies, just his toolkit, his grit, and the stubborn belief that the ship could be more than anyone imagined. The first challenge was the AI core. Most ships of this class had self-learning artificial intelligence, capable of controlling navigation, shields, and weapons. But this core was dead, or so everyone thought. Jax crawled into the maintenance shaft and opened the protective shell. Wires snaked out like frozen tendrils. He examined each connector, careful not to sever anything important. Hours passed. Sweat dripped from his forehead. Then, with a final twist of a wrench and a carefully applied voltage, the core flickered. A dim blue light pulsed weakly. The air hummed, low and alive. "Hello," Jax whispered. The AI responded, not in words, but in a sequence of lights and sounds. A pulse of recognition ran through the ship. It was as if it had waited for someone, anyone, to notice it again. Jax grinned. "I see you. I can fix you." But the ship had other surprises. As he explored deeper, he found chambers containing weapons systems that humans had never seen before. Plasma cannons with no manufacturer label, adaptive shielding technology, and engines designed to siphon energy directly from stars. Every discovery made Jax's heart race. This wasn't just a forgotten warship. It was a titan waiting to be awakened. Repairing it wouldn't be easy. Every alien empire in the galaxy had tried to build ships like this and failed. But Jax had something they didn't: human creativity. Where an alien engineer followed manuals, Jax improvised. He patched holes with unconventional alloys scavenged from smaller ships. He rewired broken circuits in ways no AI could predict. He built makeshift tools to manipulate the ship's systems. At night, as he slept in a small cabin he cleared out, Jax dreamed of the ship alive. He imagined it soaring through the void, faster and stronger than any alien warship. He imagined it defending humanity, showing the galaxy that humans were not weak, not expendable, not irrelevant. The junkyard wasn't safe. Alien scavengers occasionally drifted through Graphics 9's orbit looking for abandoned tech to claim. They laughed when they saw Jax working. "You'll die before you finish," one sneered from a hover sled. Jax waved, not breaking his concentration. By the end of the first week, he had the ship's basic systems functioning. Lights flickered to life, engines hummed faintly, and the AI core began responding in rudimentary commands. But it was still fragile. One wrong move, and everything could collapse. Then, something unexpected happened. As Jax adjusted the navigation system, the ship shivered. Panels vibrated and a soft, resonant hum filled the corridors. The AI core pulsed brighter than before, and in a voice that sounded both mechanical and alive, it whispered, "I have waited centuries for one like you." Jax froze, his hand hovering over the console. What are you?" he asked. "I am the ship you call forgotten," the AI responded, voice low and echoing, "and I recognized the touch of ingenuity. You are human." Jax swallowed hard. Aliens had always underestimated humans, never believing they could handle technology like this. And yet here he was, standing inside a warship that had once ruled star systems, and it had chosen him. "Then let's wake you up," Jax said, determination blazing in his eyes. The next days passed in a blur. Jax worked tirelessly, fusing alien tech with human improvisation. Broken energy conduits were replaced with scavenged reactors. Plasma cannons were recalibrated using homemade circuitry. Hull breaches were patched with experimental alloys, some of which had never been tested outside a lab. Every step was a gamble, but the ship responded. It began to move under its own power, slowly rotating its massive frame in the zero gravity of the junkyard. Word spread quickly, at least among the scavenger networks. Rumors of a human attempting to revive a cursed warship reached the ears of alien guilds. A small group of mercenaries arrived, armed with energy rifles and drones, intending to seize the ship for themselves. They expected easy prey. They underestimated Jax. With quick thinking, he activated the ship's limited defense systems. Small automated turrets emerged from hidden panels, firing precise bursts that disabled their drones. Electrical traps short-circuited their weapons. Using the ship's partial mobility, Jax nudged the massive hull, spinning it like a top and throwing the mercenaries' formation into chaos. They retreated, hissing threats, but Jax only laughed. "Not today," he said. "Nobody takes her from me." By the end of the first month, the ship was no longer just a derelict hull. It hummed with potential, its AI responding smoothly to human commands. Jax had mapped the engines, calibrated weapon systems, and restored the bridge to functional condition. The ship, which had been deemed worthless by the galaxy's greatest empires, was beginning to show signs of life. And yet, for all its new power, it remained mysterious. Strange markings on the hull glowed faintly at night, and the AI occasionally spoke in cryptic phrases. "The stars await, the galaxy remembers. The Titan shall rise." Jax didn't understand it fully, but he didn't care. He had done the impossible. He had begun to rebuild what the galaxy had abandoned, and in doing so he had set a course for something far greater than survival. As he stood on the bridge, looking out at Gravix, Nine's barren horizon, he whispered to himself. If they all thought humans were weak, they're about to find out how wrong they were. Somewhere deep inside the AI, a spark of recognition glimmered. And for the first time in centuries, the forgotten ship stirred with purpose. The galaxy had dismissed both the ship and its new pilot. That mistake, Jax thought, was about to cost them everything. Jax woke to the soft hum of the ship's revived engines. The glow from the bridge's panels reflected on the polished metal floor, casting long shadows across the corridors. Gravix 9 was far below, its dead surface silent and unchanging. Yet above, the galaxy churned with threats and opportunities. For the first time, Jax felt a strange confidence. The AI, which had flickered to life days ago, now responded to him smoothly, offering suggestions and confirming his calculations. Hull integrity at 78%. Power distribution optimized for current operations, it reported in a voice that was mechanical but strangely familiar. Good, Jax muttered. But we need more than good. We need unstoppable. He began walking the corridors, examining each chamber. Some sections were barely functional, wires torn, panels scorched. But Jax didn't see destruction. He saw potential. The ship had been designed for war by civilizations older and smarter than humanity, yet here he was, a single human, making it live again. By combining alien technology with human improvisation, Jax began making changes that no one could have predicted. He replaced broken energy conduits with a hybrid system that allowed power to reroute dynamically. Damaged shield generators were upgraded with flexible plating scavenged from smaller human ships. Weapons bays were recalibrated to fire in patterns that alien engineers would have deemed impossible. As he worked, the AI began to communicate more openly. It had been dormant for centuries, but now it seemed curious about its human pilot. "You are resourceful," it said one evening. "Most species would not survive this environment. Why do you persist?" Jax leaned against a console, wiping sweat from his brow. "Because no one else can do it. And because humans don't quit." The AI hummed in response, almost contemplatively. "Your species, underestimated by all. Intriguing. Perhaps this is why I have waited for you." Weeks passed. The ship was no longer a wreck, but a hybrid of human creativity and alien engineering. Jax had even found ways to incorporate systems that could only exist in the mind of a human. Adaptive weapons that recalibrated mid-battle, engines that could siphon energy directly from nearby stars, and an internal navigation system that could predict enemy movements with uncanny precision. But word spreads fast in the scavenger networks, even in the silent void of Gravix. Nine's orbit. Aliens began to watch from afar, curious and suspicious. Mercenary crews sent small drones to investigate, hoping to claim the ship or destroy it before it became a threat. The first encounter happened one cold night. Jax was recalibrating a plasma cannon when sensors detected movement in the distance. "Drones," the AI confirmed. 3 units, approaching rapidly. Jax didn't panic. He had expected this. Using improvised energy fields and carefully placed automated turrets, he disabled the drones before they could get close. One exploded in a shower of sparks. Another was trapped in a temporary energy net. The third drone managed to send a warning signal before being crushed under a magnetic pulse. "They're coming," Jax said quietly, almost to himself. "They want her, but they'll learn quickly humans don't give up." A few days later, a full alien scavenger crew arrived. They didn't bother hiding this time. Hovering crafts bristling with weapons encircled the ship, and a loud transmission crackled across the void. "Human, surrender the vessel." "It is not yours. You will die." Jax smiled. "They still don't understand." Using the AI, he manipulated the ship's limited mobility. Sections of the hull twisted and rotated like a living creature, throwing off the scavenger's targeting systems. Hidden turrets fired precise bursts, disabling weapons and drones alike. Electrical traps short-circuited their ship's circuits. Every move was unpredictable, because every move was human. It was during these battles that Jax realized something profound. Aliens relied on structure, protocol, and predictability. Humans thrived in chaos, in improvisation. They adapted when rules failed. That was their advantage. After repelling the scavengers, Jax didn't rest. He knew this was only the beginning. He began experimenting with the engines, pushing the limits of what the ship could do. He discovered that by diverting energy between shield generators and propulsion systems, he could achieve bursts of speed far exceeding alien specifications. He tested weapons firing sequences in unconventional orders, creating patterns that would confuse any automated defense system. The AI began to respond differently, too. It analyzed Jax's improvisations, learning and adapting faster than it had in centuries. "Your methods, illogical yet effective," it said. "Perhaps your species' unpredictability is its greatest weapon." One night as Jax slept in the small cabin he had cleared, the ship pulsed gently around him. The AI whispered, "The galaxy will notice soon. Prepare for attention and opposition." Jax woke with a start, adrenaline pumping. He didn't know exactly what the AI meant, but he suspected it was right. A ship like this, rebuilt by a human, could not stay hidden for long. The galaxy's powers would come looking, some with curiosity, others with hostility. True to the AI's prediction, word of the humans' work reached far beyond Gravix 9. Alien news networks buzzed with speculation. "A human has restored the fabled warship. Is this the end of alien dominance?" Headlines ran across holographic feeds. Every empire wanted to claim it, study it, or destroy it. Jax wasn't scared. He was exhilarated. Every challenge the galaxy could throw at him was fuel for his creativity. Humans had always been underestimated, and now he had the ultimate example to prove why that was a mistake. Then came the first real test of fire. A fleet of alien mercenaries, far larger and more powerful than any Jax had faced before, arrived in orbit around Gravix 9. Their ships gleamed under the light of the dying sun, bristling with weapons that could pulverize most starships in minutes. Jax stood on the bridge, staring at them through the reinforced viewport. "They came for us," he said. "Good. Let's show them humans are more than they think." The ship's engines roared as he initiated a test maneuver. It moved like a living predator, twisting, dodging, and striking in ways the aliens had not predicted. Plasma cannons flared in bursts, and energy shields shimmered with adaptive responses to enemy fire. The AI and Jax worked as one, their coordination seamless. For every attack the alien fleet launched, Jax countered with improvisation. Mines disguised as debris, sudden shifts in trajectory, bursts of concentrated energy. Every tactic relied on human ingenuity, not predictable alien patterns. The enemy ships faltered, unable to anticipate the movements of a single human controlling a ship. Hours later, the alien fleet retreated, battered and confused. Jax leaned back in his chair, exhausted but triumphant. The AI's voice hummed through the bridge. "They will return. Larger forces. Greater attention. But you are proving humanity can overcome." Jax smiled. "Then let them come. We'll be ready. They don't know humans yet." Over the next days, he continued to refine the ship. Every system was tested, every weapon recalibrated, and every hull section reinforced. What had begun as a derelict and forgotten vessel was now slowly becoming a titan, a hybrid of alien engineering and human ingenuity that no one in the galaxy had expected. But Jax knew the true challenge was still ahead. Larger fleets, more advanced weaponry, and alien empires who had never faced human unpredictability would come. The ship was alive now, but the galaxy had yet to recognize the threat, or the promise, that a single human could become a force it could not ignore. At night, Jax stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars scattered across the void. He whispered softly, almost to himself. We'll show them. They'll remember humanity, and they'll never underestimate us again. And deep within the ship's AI, a pulse of light shimmered, as if in agreement. The forgotten ship had found its master. The galaxy had yet to understand the storm it was about to face. The void beyond Gravik's Con9 had never been so alive. Signals pulsed across communication channels, alien sensors flickered with activity, and distant fleets converged from the edges of explored space. Every empire, mercenary guild, and war council had heard the rumors. A human had restored the legendary ship. And a human controlling a ship of that class was not to be ignored. Jax leaned over the bridge console, staring at the holographic projection of incoming fleets. They're bigger than I thought, he muttered. The display showed dozens of alien vessels, sleek and deadly, their weapons capable of obliterating most starships in moments. But they don't know what we can do. The AI hummed in agreement, its voice calm and analytical. They rely on patterns, protocol, predictability. You do not. Jack smirked. Humans had always been underestimated, and that was exactly the advantage he needed. The aliens assumed he would act like them, follow rules, make mistakes. But human instinct thrived on improvisation. He began coordinating the ship's systems, testing new maneuvers. Turrets rotated faster than expected, energy shields flexed with unprecedented efficiency, and propulsion systems allowed sudden bursts of speed that defied the laws of conventional engineering. Every modification Jax made relied on creativity and unpredictability. Time to see how far we've come, Jax said. The first ships from the alien armada approached Gravik's 9's orbit. They were scouts, fast and lightly armored, sent to probe defenses and gather intelligence. But the ship responded with precision. Plasma cannons flared in unpredictable bursts, disabling engines before the alien pilots could react. Automated defense drones intercepted missile volleys with ease. Every action was unexpected because Jax had designed it to be. One of the alien commanders barked orders in a language Jax didn't understand. Sensors showed the fleet hesitating, confusion spreading among the ranks. Humans were always seen as weak, fragile, predictable. And here was a human commanding a ship that moved and struck in ways the aliens couldn't anticipate. By the time the main fleet arrived, Jax's ship was ready. He had calculated trajectories, prepared adaptive shields, and tested weapons firing sequences that would make alien engineers weep. Yet he knew numbers and calculations weren't enough. This battle required instinct, the kind only humans could offer. The alien fleet opened fire. Energy beams lanced through space, striking Gravik's 9's orbit. Shields absorbed much of the damage, flexing in ways the alien weapons weren't designed to overcome. Jax maneuvered the ship like a predator circling prey. He fired concentrated bursts at enemy formations, striking weak points while simultaneously drawing their fire into decoys he had constructed using old debris fields. The AI was constantly relaying data, but it deferred decisions to Jax. I cannot predict their actions fully, it admitted. Your instinct is more effective than my calculations in this scenario. Jax smiled, heart pounding. That's because humans don't follow calculations. We create them. Minutes stretched into hours. The battle was a dance of destruction and ingenuity. The alien fleet had superior numbers and firepower, but they could not predict the ship's sudden movements, erratic firing patterns, or deceptive maneuvers. Jax twisted the ship through narrow asteroid belts, using terrain as shields. He triggered false energy signatures, drawing enemy fire into empty space while his plasma cannons struck critical systems. One alien flagship attempted a direct boarding maneuver. Small fighter crafts zoomed toward the ship, weapons ready. Jax didn't panic. He opened hidden ports, launching automated interceptors that disabled the boarders mid-flight. At the same time, the ship's adaptive shields absorbed the incoming energy blasts, converting excess energy into propulsion for a sudden, lightning-fast spin. The attackers were flung backward into the void, their formations scattered. Amid the chaos, Jax realized something profound. The aliens were relying on their history, their centuries of experience, and their rigid battle doctrines. Humans had none of that baggage. They were free to improvise, adapt, and create opportunities out of impossible situations. That unpredictability was more valuable than any laser cannon or engine upgrade. Hours into the engagement, the alien fleet began to retreat. Some ships were destroyed, others heavily damaged. But it was not a simple victory. Jax knew larger forces would come, stronger fleets equipped with weapons designed specifically to counter his tactics. Yet the message had been sent. Humans were not to be underestimated. The AI spoke in a quieter tone now, almost reverently. The galaxy has seen what you can do. They will return, more determined. But your actions, they have proven humanity's potential beyond prior assessment. Jax leaned back in the bridge chair, exhausted but exhilarated. He gazed out at the stars, feeling the vastness of space and the weight of what he had accomplished. He had taken a ship that everyone else had deemed worthless and turned it into a force capable of challenging entire fleets. He had proven, in the most literal sense, that humans could rise above limitations, adapt, and innovate in ways the galaxy could not predict. Yet, even in victory, attention lingered. The alien commanders who had survived would report back to their empires, to fleets far larger and more powerful than what Jax had faced. This was only the beginning. The ship was alive now, but the galaxy would soon test it. And him. Again. In the quiet moments, Jax continued refining the ship. He experimented with propulsion bursts that used gravitational fields to slingshot the vessel faster than conventional engines allowed. He recalibrated weapons to fire in staggered sequences, creating unpredictable attack patterns. Every day the ship became more than a machine. It became an extension of human ingenuity, a symbiotic partner with its pilot. The AI observed silently, occasionally commenting, "Your species' creativity is astonishing. I calculate 32% chance the fleet will underestimate us again. Then we'll make it 100, Jax said, determination gleaming in his eyes. He also began preparing the ship for longer missions. Storage bays were organized for supplies, energy systems were upgraded for efficiency, and navigation arrays were tuned for deep space exploration. Jax wanted the ship not only to survive but to dominate, to act as a beacon of human potential across the galaxy. Then, as he worked, a new signal appeared on the sensors. A massive fleet, far larger than the one that had already attacked, was moving through hyperspace. Jax calculated their arrival in hours, not days. This fleet was not scavengers. It was a full military force sent by one of the galaxy's major powers. They had brought battleships, carriers, and squads of elite fighter crafts. They were coming to destroy the human and his ship before he could become a threat. Jax didn't flinch. He had expected this moment. "Looks like they learned quickly," he said to the AI. "Good. That means they know we're dangerous." The AI responded with a low hum. "Dangerous, indeed. But your tactics, creativity, and adaptability remain unmatched. You are humanity's edge." Jax smiled. The first battle had been a warning. This next engagement would be the true test, but he had no fear. Humans had survived worse, adapted faster, and overcome impossible odds. And this ship, once abandoned and forgotten, was now more than a vessel. It was a weapon shaped by human genius, capable of turning chaos into opportunity. As the alien fleet entered Gravix, 9's orbit, Jax took his place on the bridge, hands steady on the controls. "Let them come," he said quietly. "They're about to learn the price of underestimating humans." The stars stretched endlessly before him, and somewhere deep within the ship, the AI pulsed with energy and anticipation. The galaxy had noticed humanity, and humanity was ready to answer. Gravix. 9's orbit was alive with motion. Hundreds of alien ships, more powerful than anything Jax had faced before, moved like a living storm. Battleships glinted under the dim light of distant stars, Carriers launched squads of fighter crafts, and energy beams streaked across the void like deadly threads of light. The full might of a galactic empire had arrived. Jack stood on the bridge, calm and focused. His hands hovered over the controls, eyes scanning every sensor, every projection. The ship beneath him hummed like a creature awakening from centuries of slumber. It had learned, adapted, and waited for this moment. "They brought everything they've got," the AI said, voice steady but carrying a note of awe. "This fleet is designed to overwhelm and destroy any threat. Statistically, the probability of survival is—" Jax smiled, leaning against the console. "Statistics are for people who don't know humans. We don't follow statistics. We make them." He activated the engines. The massive vessel shifted, twisting with impossible agility. The alien fleet expected a lumbering ship, easy to target. Instead, it moved like a predator, weaving unpredictably, dodging beams of pure energy that could have torn smaller ships apart. The first wave of fighters charged. Small, agile, and fast, they intended to cripple the ship before the main armada could engage. Jax anticipated this. Hidden turrets emerged from panels along the hull, firing precision bursts that disabled engines without destroying the crafts. Automated interceptors shot out in flurries, colliding with attackers mid-flight. Within minutes, the first wave was neutralized. The main fleet advanced. Battleships fired massive energy cannons, and Jax felt the hull shudder with each strike. The AI responded instantly, diverting power to shields, then rerouting energy to propulsion for sudden evasive maneuvers. Jax twisted the ship in ways alien engineers never considered possible. One moment he was at the edge of Gravix 9's orbit. The next, he slingshotted through an asteroid belt, using the rocky debris as cover. Energy beams collided with rocks instead of the ship. "Your unpredictability is extraordinary," the AI admitted. "They cannot anticipate you." "They shouldn't," Jax muttered. "They never should." Then came the attack they had all been waiting for. The flagship of the alien armada, massive and bristling with weapons, moved to flank the ship. Its energy cannons were calibrated to destroy even the toughest hulls. Jax knew he couldn't match raw firepower, but raw power wasn't his advantage. Humans thrived on strategy, improvisation, and creativity. He initiated a complex maneuver. Using the ship's adaptive engines and gravitational calculations, he created a series of sudden accelerations and rotations that threw the alien targeting systems into chaos. He fired a staggered sequence of plasma blasts, hitting weak points that only a human mind could detect. The flagship's hull groaned under the precise strikes, energy shields flickering under pressure. The alien commander shouted through the comms channel, frustration evident even without translation. Every tactic they attempted failed. Jax's movements were unpredictable, his attacks unorthodox, and his improvisations constantly outmaneuvered centuries of alien engineering. Minutes stretched into hours. The battle was chaotic, intense, and unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed. The ship's AI worked in perfect harmony with Jax, learning from every action, adapting faster than any alien technology could. Shields flexed with precision, energy weapons recalibrated instantly, and the ship moved like a single living organism under Jax's control. Despite the overwhelming odds, the alien fleet faltered. Battleships collided in miscalculations, energy cannons misfired, and their formations broke apart under the onslaught of human ingenuity. Jax used everything at his disposal: false energy signatures, debris fields, gravitational slingshots, and rapid-fire adaptive plasma sequences. Every strike counted, every maneuver unpredictable. At one point, the flagship attempted a direct boarding maneuver. Elite alien soldiers hurtled toward the ship, weapons drawn. Jax didn't panic. Panels along the hull opened, releasing automated interceptors that neutralized the boarding craft mid-flight. The ship's adaptive energy shields absorbed blasts, converted the excess energy into propulsion, and flung the attackers back into the void. One by one, the boarding attempts failed. As the alien fleet dwindled, Jax realized the full truth. They had underestimated humans for centuries, assuming they were weak, predictable, and expendable. Yet here was a single human, standing against the combined might of an empire, turning chaos into opportunity, and surviving when all reason said he should fail. The battle reached its climax. The flagship, damaged and desperate, charged a final massive energy blast meant to destroy the ship in a single strike. Jax's eyes narrowed. There was no time for hesitation. He activated the ship's core power redistribution, diverting every ounce of energy into the shields and engines. The ship twisted violently, dodging the beam while releasing a concentrated counterstrike, a precise fusion of plasma, energy pulses, and adaptive projectiles. The flagship erupted in a blinding explosion, fragments scattering across the void. The remaining alien ships, witnessing the destruction of their most powerful vessel, began to retreat. Jax didn't give chase. He knew this victory wasn't about destruction. It was about sending a message. Humans could not be ignored. Humans could not be underestimated. The AI's voice pulsed with quiet admiration. You have proven humanity's worth. Your species' creativity, courage, and unpredictability are unmatched. Jax leaned back, exhausted but triumphant. He looked at the stars, each one a distant possibility, a challenge waiting for humans to rise. They'll remember, he said softly. They'll remember that humans are more than they think. In the quiet aftermath, Jax continued refining the ship. Hulls were repaired, shields reinforced, and weapons recalibrated. Every system was improved, every flaw corrected. The ship, once abandoned and forgotten, was now fully alive, a titan in the galaxy, shaped by human hands and human ingenuity. Weeks later, rumors of the battle spread across the stars. Entire alien empires discussed the human who had rebuilt a legendary ship and defeated overwhelming forces. Stories of Jax's ingenuity became myths. The ship that moved unpredictably, the pilot who turned chaos into strategy, the human who proved the galaxy wrong. Yet Jax knew the story was far from over. The galaxy would continue to challenge humans, to test them, to push them to limits. And the ship, now fully alive and aware, would continue to evolve under human guidance, ready for any threat. One quiet night, Jax stood on the observation deck, gazing at the stars scattered across the infinite void. The ship pulsed gently around him, a living partner in the endless dance of space. The AI spoke softly, almost like a companion. There are more stars to explore, more challenges, more opportunities to prove your species' worth. Jax smiled. Then let's go. The galaxy is waiting. The ship responded with a surge of power, engines humming, weapon systems ready, shields glowing. The Titan was alive. Humanity had risen not through conquest, but through creativity, courage, and the refusal to be underestimated. And somewhere deep in the void, across systems that had long dismissed humans, the galaxy began to take notice. The ship nobody wanted had become the galaxy's ultimate titan, and its pilot, a single human, had changed the way the universe would see humanity forever.